Hi everyone, my name is Ken Su and I'm the Vice President of the International Student Mentorship Program, also known as ISMP. On behalf of the other ISMP mentors on this webinar, we're so glad that you're able to join us today. I want to give everyone a brief overview of what to expect from today's event. First, I'll be giving an introduction of ISMP, which will include a short video. Next, I'll introduce Isaac Teixeira, who will be giving today's main presentation titled, How to Graduate from a Better College with Less Money. Immediately following will be a discussion time where we'll be taking questions from the audience. So what is ISMP? We're an educational nonprofit organization that aims to connect international students with American mentors. We operate in some of the most well-known American universities. Through regular in-person or virtual meetings, our volunteer mentors build strong relationships with their mentees and passionately guide them through college, graduate school, and beyond. Here's an introduction video that briefly explains what we do.
We wanted to start the International Student Mentorship Program after meeting many international undergrad and grad students over the years who came to America to study. Going to a foreign country and all the changes that come with it bring a lot of challenges that need extra guidance. My name is Jessica and I am the president of ISMP. I came to America as an international student, having grown up in Indonesia. Even though English was my first language, there was so much more to adjusting to life in America that I really didn't anticipate when I came for college. From the basics of how to do your laundry to how to respond to friendly strangers who strike up conversations with you, all of these things made me feel anxious. It seemed like people were speaking at a much faster pace than I was used to, and I often couldn't understand jokes fast enough. Add to that the difficulty of keeping up with the college course load, and I just felt like an overwhelming freshman year. But I don't think my experience is unique.
When I first came to America, I had a lot of questions. I was worried about my English because it doesn't sound natural, and I did not know very much about American culture. I also had questions about how to find a job in America, but it was really difficult to find resources for international students. I did not know where to go for help.
International students are hard workers, but that doesn't mean things are easy. It is because of my own personal mentors that I not only avoided a lot of mistakes, but I also gained confidence as they taught me valuable life skills and even prepared me for my future goals by advising me on my resume and my career path.
I originally became an ISMP mentor because I saw the difficulty that many international students had transitioning to studying here in America. My dad came to the US as an international student when I was young, so I got to experience some of that perspective, and I wanted to help with a program that equips students to adapt to life in a new country.
My mentors helped them so much more than just help me improve my English language skills. They have also given me career advice, helped me build good study habits, and drop off supplies during busy times. Finding a mentor was one of the best decisions I made in college.
Helping Danny achieve his goals has been really fulfilling for me as I see him grow from an anxious freshman, uncertain on how to succeed in his time in America, to being much more confident and comfortable, able to thrive both as a student and as a person.
ISMP is about helping students with things like practical workshops for English conversation, college writing, career planning and coaching. But also, our program wants to prepare students for long-term success by developing character and soft skills, things like time management or how to talk to your professor. And at the end of the day, we are passionate about mentorship because we know that these are the global leaders of the next generation.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you would like to find out more about ISMP or consider applying for the mentorship program, you can find us at internationalmentorship.org or follow us at social media including WeChat, Line, Facebook, Instagram, or Kakao Talk. Now at this time, I would like to introduce our main speaker today, Isaac Teixeira. He's a graduate of the University of California in San Diego with a degree in bioengineering. He currently works in the pharmaceutical industry and has been a mentor mentoring students for several years now. I'm very excited about his webinar today as he has done some very thorough research to provide us with a wealth of advice for those who are looking to study at the American University. If you have questions at any time during this presentation, please feel free to enter them in the chat box and we'll be addressing them after Isaac's presentation. All right, now on to the presentation.
Hello, and welcome to this webinar in our series on United States college admissions. My name is Isaac. I grew up in California in a city called Claremont. I got a bachelor's degree in bioengineering at UC San Diego in 2018, which is a top 50 U.S. news school and is currently ranked number 10 in U.S. public schools. Go Tritons! I now work at a drug company called Covance. So you've decided to study abroad, and you'd love to go to a school like UCLA, one of the best in the nation, and a very popular school amongst international students. What if I told you that by following the guidance in this webinar, you could increase your chances of getting into UCLA 5 times? How? Through community college. You may not know much about community colleges and transferring, but for those that do know about them, I think that community colleges and the idea of transferring gets a bad reputation, particularly amongst international students. I polled some current international students and alumni who attended top U.S. universities, and they had the same general ideas about community college. I didn't know anything about them. Those are bad, and even, it's a waste of time, were some responses that I got from those that I asked. In this webinar, I hope to challenge this negative stereotype and convince you that pursuing the junior transfer route through a community college is actually a worthy option to consider. We will review the great benefits of studying at community college first before transferring to a four-year school, and talk about how to deal with the challenges of actually doing so. Here's a typical story. I decide I want to go to America for college, so I do a web search, top schools in America, and try to apply to the best schools that I think I can get into based on my grades and test scores. These are the top 10 schools in America as judged by U.S. News, probably the most well-known college ranking system in the world. You've got Princeton, Harvard, Columbia, but man, it would be quite costly to go to one of these schools. And that's even if they accepted my application. My chances of actually getting into any of these schools is really slim. Sure, the top 10 schools are a bit ambitious, so I'll just try to get into the most popular schools in America that international students actually go to. Here are those schools. You've probably heard of most, if not all, of these schools, and may even know people at these schools. 1 in 8 international students in America attend one of these 10 schools. But even looking at it this way, it would still be quite difficult for the majority of hopeful international students to attend these schools. The 75th percentile Asian student SAT score is 1,400. The average amount of money spent by international students at public four-year schools in America is $42,970. Almost all of these schools exceed these statistics. In response, you might say, well, based on those acceptance rates, I'd still have a better chance of getting into these schools than the top schools in my country. Yeah, okay. I guess a 12% chance of getting into UCLA isn't too bad. But not so fast. These acceptance rates are what you'll find with a quick internet search, but these numbers apply to the whole school. Let's look at data for international students specifically. Here, I filtered acceptance data for just international students to determine the international student acceptance rate of the top 5 UCs. It turns out that actually, if you're an international student, your chances of getting to UCLA are not 12%. It's more like 5%. With that in mind, I want to now turn to community colleges and explore how attending them first may help you to overcome these odds. These are the top 10 most attended community colleges by international students. Wow, they're cheap and they're easy to get into. But then you might respond, nobody's going to hire me if I just do community college. Those schools are worse. The education I get will be worse. That's not necessarily true, as we'll discuss later, but if you do go to community college with the mindset to transfer, then going to community college as a first step could actually be very helpful for you. Here are the top 5 attended California community colleges, and again, the top 5 UCs. What do you think are the acceptance rates for international students who attempt to transfer to these UCs from these community colleges? Let me show you. As you can see, international students who attempt to transfer into these top schools instead of go straight as freshmen have a much better chance of actually getting in. At UCLA, for example, arguably the best, most prestigious UC, your chances of being accepted as a transfer student from one of these schools versus as a freshman student is around 5 times better. How is that possible? What is it about community colleges that enable international students who otherwise might have been rejected to more easily get into these great schools? Let's discuss that now. Many community colleges, and especially those in California, have extensive transfer assistance programs that give their students advantages for applying to four-year schools that they have agreements with. In some cases, transfer students can even be guaranteed admission based on certain eligibility requirements. The most robust of these programs is the UC TAG program, or UC Transfer Admissions Guarantee. If you complete certain requirements with a high enough GPA, you can apply to get guaranteed admission to one of 6 UCs: Merced, Riverside, Santa Cruz, Santa Barbara, Irvine, and Davis. In addition to this one school you get guaranteed admission to, you would still apply to other UCs you're interested in, and perhaps be admitted to other UCs as well, with a higher success rate than if you were to apply as a freshman. Each school has clearly documented their own tag requirements on their website, but listed here are the general UC-wide transfer requirements. Basically, take relevant classes, get a minimum 2.8 GPA. Some schools require a higher GPA. For example, UC Irvine will ask you to have a 3.4 GPA, but that's definitely achievable. Similar programs are available for other types of schools at certain community colleges. For example, Santa Monica College in California offers more than 90 tag programs in addition to the UC tag programs that we just discussed. Houston Community College has more than 250 programs to basically every worthwhile four-year school in the state of Texas, including the well-known UT Austin and well-attended UT Dallas, UT Arlington, and University of North Texas. As you can see, rather than just settling for a lower-tier school, going the transfer route can make you a seriously better candidate as you pursue getting into a top U.S. school. Another benefit of going to community college is that you can have additional time to practice English and get adjusted to living in America before classes get too difficult. If you start off at these really prestigious and difficult four-year schools, the adjustment and anxiety that you deal with can be overwhelming. Think about these statistics from a study done by the Journal of Research in International Education. 76% of non-native English speakers required intensive English language support compared with just 20% of native English speakers. At a community college, however, classes are easier and you can gain 1 to 2 years of extra English language and cultural experience before arriving at the big, academically challenging schools. Let's hear from an international student who experienced this benefit because of doing the transfer route.
Hi, my name is Unjun. I grew up in Korea and then started school at Diablo Valley College before transferring to UC San Diego for my junior year. If you're not very good with English, freshman year at UC or other top school will be really hard. In community college, I lived with Americans. I had a good environment to transition that forced me to regularly speak English. DVC also required English language classes, and they have lower than freshman year level courses. Because community college was overall easier, I improved a lot in my English before I transferred.
Now, another clear benefit of community colleges is that the class sizes are typically much smaller, especially compared to large universities' freshman year classes. The teachers are only there to teach you and your classmates. They don't have research to rush to after lecturing, nor do they have a line of 20 students trying to ask questions at the end of every lecture. To illustrate this, I gathered the class sizes from those same top 10 community colleges, and then got the average class sizes from this last year at UCSD, my old school, for the most common classes that freshmen take. Even if you factor in graduate student teaching aides at UCSD, the difference in access is dramatic. Private colleges would have smaller class sizes, but they'd also cost you 5 times more than at any of these community colleges. Another benefit is that you'll have opportunity to engage with a much more diverse group of students than you may meet at a large university. One survey of international students showed that the vast majority of students benefited greatly from interacting with a different culture and people different than themselves. Here's the racial makeup of the students at each of the same 10 community colleges. Since class sizes are so small, the opportunities for you to meet and befriend someone from a different background than you is really high. It will take a little courage for you to step out of your comfort to meet someone different than you, but as we already discussed, the benefit of doing so would be immense. Finally, you'll save so much money if you go the transfer route. I'll just quote some transfer students' thoughts on this. It was a lot easier for my family. Because of our financial situation, I could work around the area to help support my family. It was extra expensive to come to America with currency exchange, so I transferred to lower the cost and still got the same prestigious four-year degree in the end. Again, looking at the actual numbers helps us to appreciate this benefit. Even if you were to only go to community college for 1 year, depending on the school, you could save literally $50,000. For these reasons, I think that attending community college is indeed a compelling option. And now, I want to make you aware of the realistic challenges involved with pursuing the junior transfer route and equip you with the means to overcome those challenges. Probably the most significant challenge about two-year schools is finding community and making quality, lasting friendships. There are a lot of reasons that community is hard to find at two-year schools. Many different people from different backgrounds and with different goals come to community college, and many will not share your same dreams, values, and vision. One student I interviewed remarked how in his first community college class there was a 60-year-old man, a single mom, people like him, and others way different than him. This student actually talked about this as a benefit because he got to meet people very different than him. But if that difference is too great, you might feel quite uncomfortable there. This might not be that much of an issue to you if you aren't necessarily looking for lots of friends or you prefer to be on your own. However, community is still important because at community college, you need to find your own housing. You'll meet students at community college who hardly want to even be there and lack any drive to work or study hard. You'll meet students who have part-time or even full-time jobs who rush in and out of class because they're supporting families or have other responsibilities. So you'll want to be sure to find roommates whom you can relate to and who share the same goals as you. That will be a motivating presence rather than a negative influence on you. Returning to community in general, apart from housing, you are not bound to poor community and friendships if you choose to go to a two-year school. If you take the initiative, you can build strengthening friendships at whatever school you go to. Though they're not as robust as at big four-year schools, there are student organizations that you can get involved with and meet people who share your interests. Our ISMP program will regularly gather students together for holidays or even meals over the table. In this way, students may get to experience a home away from home, even thousands of miles from home. Let's hear from another junior transfer who struggled at his two-year school with finding community initially, but later found community by joining a student group.
Hi, my name is Andrew. I went to San Joaquin Delta College in Stockton, California, before transferring to UC San Diego. When I first went to college, connecting with people was a challenge. People were commuting, so they didn't stay on campus, nor did they join activities. And a lot of people are working and have to take care of their families, so people weren't always available or open. My second year, I joined a group on campus and got more connected with others. I really encouraged new students to find a group to connect with. For me, I was able to find friends here that I can really trust, and we have had invaluable experiences together.
Another challenge that transfer students face is going through a second transition out of community college into a more rigorous four-year school. One student I interviewed described that in community college, he had no issue accessing professors and talking with his classmates. But once he got to UC, he had to fight for seats in the class, and students were uncomfortably competitive. The intensity of the classes at a good four-year school are also much greater than at community college. If you aren't disciplined and work hard while in community college, it's a major jump or difficulty to adjust to the four-year school's rigor. Again, finding community is a challenge once you transfer into that four-year school. By the time you arrive on campus, your peers in your classes have already been living there for 2 years. They have established friend groups and routines of life that are hard for transfers to insert themselves into. That said, though, there are actions that you can take to help deal with these challenges. Student groups are much more established at large schools, and if you take the initiative, you can get plugged into a group that will welcome you and help you to make that adjustment. Andrew, the student that we just saw, did this exact thing. Having experienced the value of a club at his community college, Andrew made it a priority to quickly get connected with a student group at UCSD, a decision that made this particular challenge much easier for him. A final warning to consider, not just for community colleges, but for studying in America in general, is to recognize the temptation to laziness and squandering your opportunity. One student worded it this way: there's a lot of temptation to be free. In college, no boundaries, no parents, school isn't very hard, and if you're not super motivated to transfer, people will just go through a downhill. This is true at any school you go to, four-year or community college. But this transfer student argued that with the more lax atmosphere and potentially less motivated peers that you'll have at a community college, it will require an extra measure of self-discipline and initiative on your part to stay motivated and do the hard work of obtaining your education. Thus, finding accountability and support will be crucial for you to do well. The admissions advisors at your community college will be helpful in this situation, as well as your professors. ISMP offers strong mentorship with alumni who have gone through this before, who will be committed to you. I encourage you to invest in a mentor relationship that will help you stay on track while you study abroad. To wrap up, we'll now discuss a timeline and strategy so that you can have the best chance at succeeding in this route. This is the key. Plan ahead. Thankfully, universities value transfer students and make the expectations for transferring very clear, and the support resources available to prospective transfer students is plentiful. While in high school, it's advisable to take AP tests that will help you meet the transfer requirements of your desired school. The more AP tests you do well on in high school, the less classes you'll need to take in community college to be able to transfer. This map shows all of the schools in America, according to Big Future, made by the people who run the SAT and AP tests. All the colored dots in the map represent clusters of schools. Of course, the quality of community colleges in America vary widely, so you'll want to make sure to attend a community college that will give you a quality education and prepares you for the more challenging university you will one day transfer to. A good place to look is the same most attended community colleges by international students that we've used throughout this webinar. Examining this list, alongside the most well-attended four-year schools, a few hubs of schools and locations become apparent. We'll start with Seattle, Washington. The University of Washington has 9,311 international students and is surrounded closely by more than 5,000 more international students at community colleges, including those listed here. In the last few years, the jobs market in Seattle has been exploding, especially for computer science jobs. If you go to a school in Washington and apply, your chances of getting a job are really, really high. If you're interested in pursuing a career in computer science, this hub of schools is a great one to consider. Next, let's go to Dallas, Texas. The economy of Texas, and in particular Dallas, has been growing tremendously. There are 25 Fortune 500 companies in Dallas, which is the third most after New York and Chicago. And in all fields, STEM, banking, and healthcare, there are bountiful job opportunities available to graduating students. Then there's California. California is actually the most popular state for international students. 15% of all international students in America study at schools in California. Two popular cities are San Francisco and Los Angeles. The region surrounding San Francisco, usually called the Bay, is home to famous universities like UC Berkeley and Stanford University, each of which is surrounded by two large two-year schools that bring the total number of international students in this region to well over 20,000 students. Los Angeles is a similar hotspot for international students and a large Asian population as well. Around USC and UCLA, there's well over 30,000 international students at local colleges. These hubs are just a small sample of the good community colleges in America that you can consider. I encourage you to research to find more that fit your specific goals or that offer programs to your desired four-year schools. Now, once you enroll at a community college, the first thing you'll want to do is to schedule an appointment with a transfer advisor at your community college. Transfer advisors often receive training from top four-year schools to assist their students, and so they can help you navigate your desired four-year admissions website and the tools that they have available. Social media will also be very helpful for you. Most schools have Facebook and WeChat groups where incoming students can connect with each other, agree to be roommates, and so on. In addition to housing, social media is also a valuable resource for getting connected with student groups at the campus that you'll be going to. Current students and alumni will usually be added to the same groups that incoming students are part of, and advertise their group and events that students can join to try to draw in incoming students. My final strong recommendation: get connected with one of our mentors. Our mentors, some of whom are former transfer students themselves, are equipped to provide you with personal help that can exceed even that which community college transfer advisors provide. Please take advantage of the opportunity that you have to connect with us. With that, I wish you luck on your transfer journey.
Thank you again for participating in our webinar today, and we hope you found it helpful. If you would like more information about future ISMP webinars or would like to learn more about our mentorship program, I encourage you to again check out our website at internationalmentorship.org or follow us at any of our social media accounts. Take care, and we hope to see you at our next event.